Last Friday, September 20, some of our Dharma friends and myself, we attended the global climate strike. And in Spokane, there have been around 2,500 people gathering, marching through Spokane and then gathering at the Native American gathering place at the river. Most of the attendees have been school children, some in my age and some in a little bit older. We listened to what the young people had to say, but also there have been a couple of politicians as well as the mayor of Washington and a local politician and some Native Americans. The Native Americans shared from their perspective how they relate to the environment, how they live with the environment, to inspire the children, to give them a little bit of a further view, a broader view, where human beings actually came from. You know, it's an interdependent relationship. And so they shared basically that this land, like the gathering place where we gathered, has been a place for Native Americans since many, many generations, even before Spokane has been built. And the young people expressed their needs for change, not just in encouraging others, but also expressing their kind of frustration and anger not have been heard for many years. And they had slogans while we walked through Spokane, such as, "This is how democracy looks like." I really liked that because I looked back and I could only see people, 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 and in front of me many people and placards and children, especially children with little placards and signs, just saying something: we love Earth and we want to live, we want to have a future. Understandable. And they also said something like, "Stand up and fight back." I agree with the stand up. Fight back, I had a bit of a problem with. And since we as a Buddhist, we believe in nonviolence, in compassion. But the message of these young people have been clear. They don't want to have any excuses anymore. They want to see change now, without any further delay and with reasons, because that's their future. And they have to deal with the results of climate change. So the climate change is just the beginning. The climate strikes are just the beginning of the worldwide activities. That's what the young people are saying themselves, and that's what I think it looks like. So the strikes is just one event that is happening right now. There are many other events, and such as here in Spokane, where people gather, communities gather and discuss what exactly can we do, how can we approach things. And for example, next Saturday, there will be an Earth and Spirit Festival with several speakers, Native Americans, environmentalists, and faith groups. And there will be different workshops as well. And we have been invited to be presenters at one workshop that specifically focuses on faith traditions and how they keep or how they work with environmental issues. So Spokane hosts the Earth and Spirit Festival with several speakers, such as Native Americans, different faith groups, and environmentalists. And we have been invited to attend as well and to speak how we work with climate change, what are our actions and what we think we should do as faith groups together. So I will be there as a representative for the Abbey, and so I like to share with you what I will present. And part of it is something how I approach this topic, but then also what we as a community are doing. And I keep that in the end open for further discussions online or offline. So the first question that I will, or two questions that I will approach is, how does my spiritual journey relate to caring for the earth? And what current projects is the Abbey currently engaged in that arena? So I first learned meditation in the beginning of my 20s in Berlin and Hamburg and in Japan as well, by starting with Zen meditation. And that was actually really a start to change my outlook on life. First, I started to slow down and to gain more awareness about myself and about my surrounding. I recognized that my body and mind is interconnected, that what I'm doing with my body will affect my mind, and what I'm doing with my mind will have an effect on my body. Second, I gained more relationship or more awareness about my relationship to the environment. How I'm caring about my environment will bring certain results. If, for example, if I take care having healthy plants, having clear air and water, I will not pollute or destroy. Already as a child, when I went to school in my first grade, we had gardening class. There I learned how to take care of a bed and how to grow vegetables. So that was for me very important. Of course, I would not spill any chemicals in my bed because I wanted to have good results, right? I wanted to have carrots and such things. And I loved seeing the growth, and I loved to learn how much water I need to give, how much soil, and what kind of conditions we need to have these results that I was yearning for. So, yes, I don't pollute the soil or water if I want to have plants that are healthy and nourishing. Then a bit later, when I continued meditation and slowing down, I looked even more closely into the nature of things. I recognized the gross change of things, the change in our buildings, of our environment, of my friends and relatives. And I could see that nothing will remain as it is, nothing is stable, nothing is unchanging, everything is impermanent. So this caused me actually to reinforce my refuge, my belief in Buddhism, instead of being focused on being disillusioned, distracted by the belief of things that are seemingly permanent and unchanging. This actually I found a bit unsettling, and I needed something to work with that kind of recognition. And at that time, I didn't have it. And so I learned that I need certain tools to work with the suffering that I perceived in this changing and impermanent world. Therefore, I decided to focus to strengthen my qualities of my mind, such as in compassion, loving kindness, forgiveness, understanding of the interdependent nature of things. So to actually being able to tackle all the challenges and difficulties I could see. So Buddhism focuses, like all you know, on the practice of love, compassion, forgiveness, understanding of our interdependence. And those practices have, in Buddhism, the purpose to be integrated in our daily life, in our whole being, through reflection and through meditation. But you can say that the foundation of Buddhism is non-harm, is compassion. And I think that's the very basic of Buddhism. Non-harm as compassion is loving kindness. And the Buddha taught already to avoid taking the life of others, including insects and animals. He included not to dig in the ground or to cut plants unnecessarily. Plants and trees are homes, as we know. For insects and animals, they depend, as we are, totally on nature. Also in Buddhism, we think that everyone wants to be happy. Nobody wants to suffer. Even if you take the tiniest insect, like Ishidadu was just sharing, if you take a little stink bug and you touch it, the stink bug has the urge to move to protect itself, or it freezes because out of fear. So there is some consciousness, some motivation involved to stay alive. I take this as my very personal training right now. And I have one stone here that one of our students painted. She made many, many stones, 2,000 of them, to share with children in her neighborhood that had messages such as that. It pictures a hummingbee and a flower. And in the back of the stone, it says, all beings want to be happy. So every morning, when I open my eyes, turn on the light, I look at this picture, because I'm normally a little bit tired and not so alert. But when I see the picture and remember everybody wants to be happy, I have a really good start in the day. And I remember my purpose of this life, that I want others and myself to be happy and not suffer. So in this case, then I must conclude that as I wish to be happy and not suffer, others too want to be happy and not suffer. And this is what our community, what we are as lay practitioners practicing to the best of our ability. We take care of ourselves by training our mind in love, compassion, in the understanding of our interdependent relationship and we have with the environment. And then we take care of others and the environment. So protecting life, preserving the environment, is an essential practice for our religion. We are dependent on others and on a healthy planet. Right now, this earth is our only home, and therefore we must take care of it if we want to survive. And that means it's our responsibility to protect life, to keep the environment clean. Just as if we would keep a house clean, we just move in. So we have the intention to live in that house for our whole life and maybe to give the house to our children and grandchildren. So, but if we put chemicals in our house, if we burn chemicals, toxic material in our house, if we put waste under the carpet, how long can we live in that house? So it just doesn't work. We will be homeless pretty soon, and there's nobody else to blame. Therefore, Sravasti Abbey is committed to a compassionate, conscious as well as responsible lifestyle to the best of our ability. And we are committed to a simple lifestyle. For example, we live a monastic lifestyle. Monastics have only 2 sets of robes. And then we have certain additions, such as warm clothing, shoes that is necessary, but not more than we really need. And we carry our clothes, our shoes, as long as possible, and we repair them. And if nothing works anymore, then we gain new material items. Then also, we use only what is offered. So we are not provoking any consumerism behavior. We share things such as furniture, kitchen utensils, books. We don't own personal cars and furniture. Everything we use, besides our robes, belongs to the Abbey, so we share everything. All monastics eat from the same kitchens, they share rooms, offices. Then we pay special attention how we use resources. We try to build buildings with a sustainable, long-lasting material and no toxic material that will pollute the environment. We use geothermal to heat the buildings. We have one building with solar panels. And we do recycling with the support of our lay friends. Then, too, we take responsibility for our broader environment as a result of our understanding of our interdependence. So because we love animals, we love plants, we want to live. So we care about our communities. For example, we are opposing a smelter in Ponderay County. We attend meetings, hearings, we listen to what our community's needs are and support them in that. We talk to our politicians, we sign petitions, and we do our spiritual practice by doing certain meditations and prayers to protect this environment, to avoid pollution. And then in general, it's very helpful to be very mindful of in our daily actions. We are mindful of how much electricity, water, plastic, material we use. For example, we practice mindfulness just in simple acts. When brushing our teeth, we turn off the water. When we fill a sink to wash our dishes instead of letting run the water. We encourage every resident and guest to take short showers, and so forth. Instead of using plastic bags, we encourage our lay friends to use reusable bags when they do shoppings. We run errands ourselves, go to doctors, and visit families, taking public transportation if possible, or we carpool. We also try to run many errands in one trip instead of several trips. Then also in terms of material use, we avoid styrofoam as much as possible, and we recycle plastic, paper, glass, metal, and even clothes. So we also support the environment by not eating meat, as we cherish life. So for us, it's very important to develop an understanding of the interdependent nature of all sentient beings. And for us, it's very important to develop an understanding of the interdependent nature of the environment and sentient beings. We totally depend on others to survive. We wouldn't survive without other sentient beings. We need to remember that. And we need to remember that on a daily level, even if it's a stone that helps us to remember in the early morning to get us going. We need to remember to be mindful, to use reasoning of dependent arising, especially we as Buddhist practitioners, to apply what we heard, how things depend on each other. So then we will gain a more realistic view about our existence and develop strong compassion and loving kindness that is necessary in the relationship of others to others. And after we gain this deeper understanding of compassion and loving kindness, we will be more harmonious with others and with our environment. And that will have an influence on others, how we relate to them and to our environment. We can be an inspiration to others as well, and for future generations. Every action we do has an impact on others and on our planet. Another question that the panel will discuss is what suggestion does our faith community has in regard for new communities who just focus on earth stewardship, on caring for environmental issues? And what is the key to sustaining these efforts over time? So first of all, I think everybody has to start with oneself. It's not enough to just teach, to tell people. We must change our own behavior, and then we must invest how things are actually are related. What is science saying, and what is our experience? We must learn about the current situation and the possible results. And this is the basis. And then the communities can discuss. Then we can maybe build committees and look for possible steps, how to improve the environment, how to protect, and then reach out to further communities to learn from each other. And I think the key to sustaining our efforts lies in each individual. So we will not sustain our action if anybody, as I say, tells us to do this or that. We have to have this conviction within ourselves that we want to protect this environment, that we want to sustain it for this life and for future lives. And therefore, I think we should ask ourselves repeatedly, maybe after we have looked at a stone such as this, to remind us about the interdependence of nature, we should ask ourselves, what's the most important thing in my life? What do I really need? What makes me really happy? What makes others happy? And how can I work for the benefit of a wholesome and healthy environment? And for you, maybe if you have more thoughts on that, what I already shared, and on the following question, there are some interfaith efforts currently underway in our area, in Spokane and Washington, basically, to awaken people of faith to the importance of caring for the earth. How might we strengthen those efforts? What might this look like? What particular issues might serve as an initial focal point? Since this BBC is long, I'd suggest that we discuss this offline, but maybe you can discuss at the table first and then come back to me. I would appreciate it. Thank you.